Hey guys, it's Danny. Today we're taking another break from the discus saga that we started a few weeks ago, and I'm gonna show you how I redid my Zebra tank again. Well, we had some issues with the previous setup, which was okay. It wasn't my favorite. As I told you in the other video, I much more prefer a more planted or more natural look, and those slates, they weren't the best. They were doing the job, and my zebras were very happy and they didn't have territory issues anymore, so I'll give it that. And that's kind of like the standard that I see for people who breed Zebra Plecos or keep Zebra Plecos, but there were some issues. And some issues that I did not foresee. So if you remember, in that setup, I had aqua soil, and that's because I just didn't change it when I redid the aquarium, when I got those slates. Well, as it turns out, when you use aqua soil and not enough plants, you get issues. Duh. So I didn't have actually enough plants for the amount of aqua soil that I had there, which was, still releasing some nutrients because it wasn't very old. Second, when I put those slate structures with the caves in the middle, what I did was I trapped some debris into the aqua soil. Now, aqua soil is not a fine material. It's actually very similar to gravel or big grain gravel. So it actually traps a lot of debris within its structures or inside, within the within the pockets in between the grains. That's absolutely fine when you have a heavily planted tank. But when you don't, that's not fine. So even if I did vacuum the gravel, quote unquote, the aqua soil, or I puffed it with my turkey baster and I cleaned it as best as possible, it was not enough. So what I ended up with was a whole mess of algae and high nitrates. You can have algae even if you don't have high nitrates. But the problem with the high nitrate is a very big one, because even if it's definitely not as toxic as ammonia and nitrites, nitrate in high levels can actually start to affect fish, and that's not cool. So I decided that from the get-go, the whole idea of the setup was flawed. The setup was okay if it didn't have aqua soil. So I had to remove that aqua soil and put something else, which is exactly what I did here. And since I meddled with it again, I decided to give up those slate plates as well and create kind of the same effect, but with more natural stuff, such as wood and stone. And as you can see, I still keep the caves. The caves are awesome. My zebras love them. But the slate pieces, they're gone. No more. And I really much more prefer this version of the setup. So I'm gonna take you through the process, and then at the end, I'll come back with some final thoughts. So first, the substrate. This time I went for the ADA La Plata sand leftover that I had from my discus tank. I will be honest with you guys, I'm not the biggest fan of sand, but it's what I had at hand when I put this together. Now, sand and a thin layer of sand will not accumulate and hide quote-unquote debris. Usually organic matter sits on top of the sand, and even though this is harder to clean, at least is not buried under the substrate, and that's what I want. Next up, I am installing the heater. As you might know, Zebra Plecos need higher temperatures, 28-29 degrees Celsius, so I'm arranging it now just to take it into account as I arrange the decorations. And now I am pretty much rinsing the sand. See, I was a little too lazy to rinse it. I kind of just wanted to dump it directly from the bag into the aquarium, so I'm rinsing it in the aquarium, which means adding water and then pumping that water out. I cannot tell you if it's better or not. All I can say is that my busted hand really thanked me. Yeah, I destroyed my hand somehow, probably with aquariums over the holidays, and this was much better. And now it's time to fill it up. I'm using half tap water, half reverse osmosis water, because I don't have the benefits of the soil anymore, so I have to adjust it by mixing the water. Now, if you see a different heater and multiple thermometers there, yeah, I'm testing out a heater, which I think is not as accurate, so I needed to confirm. But it's not gonna stay. Now, since I want to make the transition pretty seamless, here I am adding the decorations, or actually the caves from the Zebra Plecos. I'm going to move the Plecos directly into this tank. I'm going to switch the filter and all the decorations and all the plants. Pretty much the only thing that does not exist anymore is the soil. Everything else is the same. Oh, also in the slates. So I'm gonna move them in the very same day. And here I am arranging my caves and also the rocks and the wood. Now, excuse my hair getting into the picture, you'll see it a lot. I'm sorry, I'm doing my best. Over the holidays, I also decided to cut it and I regret it. I shall never cut my hair again. But yeah, from now on, I'll be sure to tie it when I make these videos. But anyway, here I am fiddling with the decorations. The reason why the pieces of slate are not here anymore is because I hate them. I don't like them one bit. Yes, they are very useful for the Zebra Plecos. They create nooks and crannies in which they can hide and make their own spaces, but I can achieve the same effect with other types of decorations. So the pieces of slate are out of here. I am using something more natural to my eyes. I'm using some pieces of wood, which they will enjoy, and also some dragonstone, which does not alter water parameters. And because the dragonstone also has a whole lot of holes, I do believe they will enjoy that as well. And I can tell you after a month since I did this, they really are enjoying this setup just as much or maybe more than they enjoyed the other setup. So again, I'm arranging all of the plants, all of the anubias, and since the layer of sand is very thin, I cannot really plant plants, right? Wrong. So here's what I did with the cryptocoryds. I potted them in unglazed terracotta pots. Now, yes, they look horrible, but don't worry, we're gonna mask them. So I put some filter floss in the drainage hole, and then I added some nutritious soil that they used to have in the other tank. I added the aqua soil into the pot. I also added a root tab. It's one from Tetra for cryptocoryds. It doesn't have nitrates and phosphate, at least that's what it claims. And I'm gonna top it off with some decorative stones to maintain the soil inside, because if I don't cap it, it will end up on the sand, guaranteed. Now, because the pots look horrendous, horrifying, the stuff of nightmares, I hate them. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm so vicious in this video. Yeah, I don't like seeing these pots. I am gluing some anubias with some super glue on the rim just so we don't see them all that much. Now, the rest of the pot is gonna be hidden behind the decorations, so I don't care much about it. But as you can see, the pot is not incredibly visible, so yeah, I think I did a good job in hiding the pots. And anyway, they do blend a little bit with the caves, which are terracotta as well. They have that coloration, and in time, I'm hoping that the stark orange, burnt orange coloration will not be as vivid. Initially, I wanted to search for dark brown pots, which I know existed at some point in my garden centers, but I could not find them at all, so they will have to do. Now, the technique of potting plants actually is not new. It's something that people have been doing ever since I was a teenager, but I never liked the look. I really disliked the look of those pots in the tank. So I think it's a good idea to try to hide them with some plants such as anubias and other things that don't need potting. Now, from above, you can clearly see the pots. There's nothing I can really do about it, but since this tank is eye level, yeah, I don't mind them all that much. I think it looks pretty decent. Now, here are my 3 funny Zebra Plecos. The biggest one is Max. He or she is now over 5 centimeters, maybe 5.5. The other 2 are about 5 centimeters. And for the life of me, I cannot tell if I have males and females or just males. I cannot tell. So here is a close-up for those of you who have more knowledge and more experience maybe with Zebra Plecos than me. What do you think? I have a suspicion I have 1 male, 2 females. Maybe, hopefully, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments if you can tell, because I absolutely cannot. So here I am adding my Zebra Plecos. I did acclimate them for about an hour or so, since the water might be slightly different than the one they were used to. I'm also adding the blue shrimps, which are great. They keep the tank clean. And here is my betta fish, Johnny, which is a sweetheart. I never have issues with him and my Zebra Plecos. And that is about it. I've been running this tank for about a month, and because I've used new pieces of wood and also some botanicals, there is a brownish tint tint to the water, but that is absolutely normal. It's just the tannin. I'm not a big fan, but in time it will slowly go away. I'm trying to do water changes as rare as possible. There's really no need. The parameters are good. So once a week, once every 2 weeks, I'm doing the water changes, which means the tannins will linger for a little while, but that is okay. The water has a good neutral pH and a nice TDS, and my zebras seem to really like it. They are very active. They come out to eat. They actually sit on the rocks in plain sight. They really enjoyed the setup, and I don't think they miss the pieces of slate. And to my eyes, it actually looks much more natural, even if I have potted plants in the tank and, you know, terracotta caves and things of the sorts. You will also notice a bunch of autosynclus fish in there. They live in harmony with everybody. Nobody's fighting. I'm so happy. My Zebra Plecos are getting along very well. So yeah, this is my new setup, and now let's go back to future Danny for the outro of this video. Alrighty, so here we are. Here's the setup. It's still a little brown because I did add quite a bit of wood that I didn't use before, and I also added some botanicals. It's fine. That brown tint is just tannin, and it's absolutely fine. And I have to say I'm much more happy with this version. I'll have to say I'm not the biggest fan of sand, generally speaking, because it's hard to clean. It's hard to vacuum. It's hard to, you know, puff. I can just mess around with it from time to time to lift the dirt in the water column and let the filter pick it up. But if I want to vacuum it, oh brother, not the greatest. So when I move, and I will have to move this tank, I might consider using some gravel. Not the big type of gravel, the smaller type of gravel, because it's just much easier to clean, much easier to vacuum. Putting a very thin layer of gravel, I think, will work better than the sand. I don't know, I'm still debating. For sure, the setup is much better than the aqua soil, but I want to make it better. I don't know. But the fish themselves, they're much happier. They're much more active. I was a little scared. It was scary because the nitrates just elevated so quickly, and I usually test the water, if not every week, every 2 weeks or so, you know. I do those test strips because that's kind of what I'm interested in, the nitrates. At this point, I don't have ammonia spikes or stuff. So when I saw the test strip that I have nitrates, in a lot of them, like, oh brother, I had to act fast. So it was a bit of a scare, but it worked out in the end. And now the parameters are much better. I'm also using half tap water, half reverse osmosis water, because I don't have the benefits of aqua soil, but it works out. The fish are happy, they're eating, they're growing slowly, but they're growing. So this is much better. And yeah, I'm still debating what I'm gonna do when I will have to move this tank. Either I'm gonna reuse the sand or keep it as it is, or put some finer gravel that is easier to vacuum. I don't know. I will debate on it. But this is where we are with the Zebra tank. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll keep you up to date, of course. The move is coming, I think, soon, in a couple of months. Paperwork takes a lot of time. But yeah, when it's time to move, it's gonna be interesting, right? Right, so with that said, again, thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed hanging out with me today, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!